Go ahead, Sherry.
Regular meeting of Washington, Missouri City Council, Monday, October 16th, 2023, 7 p.m. Bear?
Here.
Briggs?
Here.
Coulter?
Here.
Heidrich?
Here.
Holtmeyer?
Here.
Patkey?
Here.
Reed?
You bet.
Wessels?
Here.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will all the council members answer if they have or have not read the minutes of the council meetings dated September 27th and October 2nd, 2023? Bear?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Patkey?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Wessels?
Need a motion.
Second.
Motion by Wessels, second by Bear to approve the minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Approval and adjustment of agenda, including consent agenda. You have the collector's treasurer's report summary for July 2023 and the investment report for July 2023.
Questions, guys?
Make a motion.
Second. Motion by Holtmeyer, second by, I believe it's Heidrich. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Priority items, mayor's presentations, appointments, and reappointments. Proclamation, Infant Safe Sleep Awareness Month.
Hi, everybody. This is a mayor's proclamation for Infant Safe Sleep Awareness Month. I know someone who lost a baby to SIDS. I think probably everyone in this room does also. I think it's very important that we read this and just be aware of it. Whereas approximately 100 infants in Missouri die each year because they were placed in an unsafe sleep environment, and whereas 90% of all non-medical infant deaths in Missouri are related to the infant's sleep environment, and whereas most deaths caused by unsafe sleep are preventable with proper education and resources, and whereas it is proven that infants sleep safest when they sleep alone, on their backs, in a crib, bassinet, or portable play yard with a firm mattress and tightly fitted sheet with no other items in their sleep areas. And whereas it is vital that parents, grandparents, relative child care providers, and all infant caregivers and health professionals are aware of safe sleep guidelines to place infants to sleep in a safe sleep environment for every sleep. And whereas prevention strengthens families and saves infant lives, research shows that investing in safe sleep education programs saves dollars that would be spent for crisis-oriented programs. And whereas the City of Washington, Missouri, the community partnership, and hospitals in our community work collaboratively to raise awareness of the important steps parents, caregivers, child providers, health professionals, and all service providers can take to reduce sleep-related infant deaths and disparities in these deaths. Now therefore, I, James D. Hagedorn, Mayor of the City of Washington, Missouri, do hereby proclaim October 23 to the Infant Safe Sleep Awareness Month. Maria. Thanks,
Okay.
Maria. Would you like to say something?
Sure, I just have a
Please.
brief little something to say. As you might have heard, I'm Maria Grant. I'm an infant safe sleep coordinator with the Community Partnership in Rolla, and I work on a grant that is from the Children's Trust Fund in Missouri. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you to all of you for proclaiming October Infant Safe Sleep Month and helping raise awareness in our community about safe sleep. Approximately 3,400 infants die each year in the United States from infant death related to sleep. Since 1992, the number dropped dramatically from 11,000 deaths. This is when the American Academy of Pediatrics first advised that infants be placed on their back. Though infant sleep death has dropped since the 1990s, disparities exist, especially in rural areas of Missouri where rates are higher. So our efforts to educate on infant safe sleep continue. The ABCs of Safe Sleep are alone, on the back, and in a crib. If you'd like more information, this is here at the front desk. You can give me a call at Community Partnership, and you can call your health department. They also have great information. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You're welcome.
Police Department reappointment.
Dear council members, I herewith submit for your approval the following for reappointment to the Police Department. Nolan Crawford, police officer. Date effective of 28 October 2023, expires next year on the same date.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Patke, second by Coulter to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Public hearings, Precoat Metals, Washington project.
Yes, good evening, council. So this is the public hearing for the passage of the Chapter 100 tax abatement and issuance of the bonds for the Precoat, AZZ Precoat Metals project here in town. I'm sure, as everyone is aware, it was the same council in November of last year when we passed the memorandum of understanding agreeing to these terms. They still are the same terms. Although, it is, as I explained in my letter, the first 3 years are amended to have 100% abatement, but that there's a separate agreement for the company and 353 for them to be able to use those first 3 years of payments back towards utilities to the park. Happy to answer any questions, and it is a public hearing.
Would anyone in the audience like to say anything? Okay. Go ahead, Sherry.
I need a motion to,
I'll make
We
a
need
motion to accept.
Okay. Motion to accept into the minutes by Bear,
Second.
second by Patke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mayor, could I add, I was mentioning to Darren and Sal, this explanation by Gilmore Bell of how Chapter 100 works and the cost benefit, that's probably the best explanation. I mean, I have struggled over the years to see, now just how do they figure this thing? But that is done very well, so
Okay, well, and
appreciate that.
I apologize. I should have introduced, and I didn't meet you beforehand. Is it Stephanie? Stephanie Bowe. Yes, Stephanie is with Gilmore Bell, who
very good.
obviously wrote the cost benefit analysis, did the bond issuance. So, if there's any questions.
Appreciate it.
Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
an ordinance authorizing the city of Washington, Missouri to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds, Precoat Metals Washington LLC project, for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, and equipping a facility for an industrial development project in the city, approving a plan for the project, and authorizing the city to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds.
Omar.
Introduced by Holtmeyer. Any questions or comments, guys? Okay, go ahead.
An ordinance authorizing the city of Washington, Missouri to issue its taxable industrial revenue bonds, Precoat Metals Washington LLC project, for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, and equipping a facility for an industrial development project in the city, approving a plan for the project, and authorizing the city to enter into certain agreements and take certain other actions in connection with the issuance of the bonds. Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Wessels.
Aye.
Reed.
Yes.
By your vote, the ordinance passes. Thank you, guys.
Special use permit, 601 West Fifth Street, roadside stand.
Yes, good evening, council. So your other public hearing tonight is for a special use permit for a roadside stand at 601 West Fifth Street, which is at the corner of West Fifth and Stafford, and obviously commonly known as the Sandbar right now. They are requesting to have, currently there's no kitchen in the facility for their food, and they're requesting to have a permanent roadside stand on the, I guess, western side of the building here where you see these parking stalls. In our code, you are permitted to have a roadside stand on private property 10 times in a calendar year without having a special use permit. All you need is a business license and approval from the property owner. Once you do it in the same spot more than 10 times in a calendar year, you have to come forward with a special use permit. So obviously it's a food trailer. It's not mobile, so they plan to keep it there. I think pretty much full time. It could be hitched up, but so obviously they would need a special use permit. So the property again is at the corner of Stafford and West Fifth. This is a site plan, just kind of showing the general location of it. It is a 8 by 20 trailer, so it does fit into a parking stall. They do have some benches to the left that aren't shown here, taking up another parking stall. However, for this use and in this zoning, they have plenty of parking. You're actually permitted. The code is specific about utilizing bars and nightclubs can have joint parking if the neighboring property approves to it and it's within 300 feet. Well, the neighboring property owner also owns this property, so obviously you can count all of these parking spaces and then the 14 they have in the back. So there was no concern with taking away 2 parking spaces for this, and it did not, impede any fire lane. As for the zoning, you can see here it's C2 overlay, and then to the rear it is the R2 overlay. So this is the kind of mixed use area of Fifth Street. Last week at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, we did not have any comments from the public, and the Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval unanimously to issue the special use permit under one condition by recommendation of staff that the applicant have an inspection done and fill out the mobile food stand inspection form, safety form, by the Washington Fire Department. We have had that form for a number of years now. It is specifically for food trucks, and it asks questions like when the hood has last been inspected, if they're using fryers, and to go through all of that and actually have an inspection by the fire department. We were only using that whenever it was someone applying to be a registered food truck in a vending district, not one of these special use permits. And so now internally we have changed our internal policy to require that those first 10 times as well, and then conditionalize it on special use permits. So with that condition, I think it made everyone at P&Z comfortable, and the applicant has that application, and then that goes straight to the fire department. So they may have actually already turned that in.
The only problem I have is lately there's been a lot of, it says 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. Is that correct? I think that's correct. We've had a lot of problems up there when they're closing, and with crowds gathering outside and stealing tires and all that stuff. I didn't know if this would be if we could shorten the hours on this.
We're requiring bars to close at 1:30, correct? Yeah, so you can conditionalize the hours on here as well.
I'd say midnight would be what I would prefer if we go through with this.
Sal, the other thing, and I agree with Joe, it seems we read a lot of incidents that occur right down there. Well, I was wondering why they maybe didn't put it on the, especially being right out there on the street, maybe put it in the back parking lot. That's theirs also, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that lot you can see there.
Yeah, was there any discussion about that, or?
No, the only discussion at P&Z was to make sure that it wasn't placed in between these two buildings, so that there was still, room for cars to get around. I don't think that is technically a fire lane. The building doesn't need 360 access with this. So there wasn't discussion of that. And then I won't speak on behalf of Chief, but with that condition of approval, having it earlier than when the bars closed, that may be tough to regulate, because it's closing it at midnight prior than 1:30 when the bar is still open.
Or even make it 1:30 instead of 2. You know,
Yeah. 'Cause
when
when
the
the
bar
bar's
closes, the.
Restaurant's closed, yeah.
Sure.
I would say that makes more, I mean, it's again, your all prerogative. I just, having an officer show by at midnight and then again at 1:30 to make sure the bar is actually closed. I don't want to speak on your behalf.
No, you're fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree with Sal. We could enforce either way, whatever you all decide. So it's not that problematic. We're by there several times while they're open anyway, so we could certainly stop by and make sure they were closed at a
Are you more
particular time.
comfortable with 1:30 versus midnight?
I really, well, I guess it depends on what, so as Councilman alluded to, there has been increased problems recently with crowds gathering outside during business hours and at closing time. I'm not sure if this will impact that or not. I would imagine it would increase that, just the fact that there's now a reason to be outside.
Reason to stay past hours.
Stay past hours too.
It just keeps the patrons around longer,
Yes.
and you get more problems when you got,
I'm not done with my hot dog.
huh?
I'm not done with my hot dog yet.
Yeah.
I'll be leaving shortly.
Yeah, I'd say 1 o'clock when the bars close and the food closed same time. That would be my preference, but that's,
Is the owner present or here?
It is a public hearing, so if the mayor wants
They
to
are
open
not,
up
yeah.
the floor for comments.
The applicant was at Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm not sure if they weren't
Okay.
able to make it.
My thing of it is 10 times is not a lot. I mean, if you're doing it, you know, if it all got done now and 10 times between now and the end of the year, maybe a lot. But I mean, 10 times is not much. I mean, that's got a hell of an investment here, just to do it 10 times a year. I see this, you know, maybe snowballing and to continue to do more than this, his requirements are to what?
Well, this permit is to allow more than 10 times.
More than 10
Yeah.
times? Okay,
And
okay,
10
okay.
and less, we can approve in-house or administratively.
So he could be open every weekend?
Yeah. And then for 10 weeks, you could.
Be open every night.
And then now you're with a special use permit, it could be open every day.
Okay.
Yep. The special use permit allows you to go above and beyond 10. Because it's considered permanent.
Would you be able to pin down I don't know, would you be able to pin down the activities that we read about, the occurrences up there at closing time and so forth? Are they out in front? Are they in the?
Yes, it would be along Fifth Street.
Most of the time?
Most of the time, yep.
See, that's again I thought so when I was reading those. That's again my point was, maybe move the thing around back. You have more traffic on Fifth Street, and you're gonna have, if you're gonna draw more people on that side of the thing, I don't know.
Well, we may need a way out of this thing.
Well,
If it
keep
turns
in
into
mind-
trouble.
Would anyone in the audience like to comment on this? Okay.
I will say, when you say a way out of it, you know, the new rule you passed a couple months ago, revocation of a special use permit, I would say you have to add some conditions then that hold them to that. So there has to be some, I guess some
I think we're
conditions.
silly if we don't add something
Well,
to it.
maybe ask Mark, I don't know what could constitute,
I'm trying to pull it up here, so bear with me.
I guess, incident.
While he's looking that up, I mean, you'd have to go ahead and at minimum, if you want to put in the time, you got to go ahead and add that to the ordinance. That would have to be added.
Correct.
But is it simply adding a time, or is it a matter of occurrences when law enforcement is called, that we're gonna put a time frame on that? I mean, that's tough.
Yeah, we don't.
I agree with you, it's a bad situation, but,
It could be a bad situation.
right. So back to Councilman Coulter's question to Chief is, what time is it best? If we say close the restaurant, part of it at midnight, I know it's, you know, not that you have to enforce it, but if we allow that open till 1:30, we are waiting for your hot dog to get done, and they're there till after that.
Sure, I would prefer earlier, but
Yeah.
that's
Last call.
my opinion.
Last call's
After midnight.
So I'm back to what Councilman Holtmeyer proposed and say the food truck closes at midnight. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah.
along
I
with
can
yours.
buy that.
I mean, it's just as far as.
We
it
can
goes.
put that on as a condition for the special use permit, Mark?
Yes.
Hours of operation.
We need, is that, got that in motion, Jeff? If it's a football, or?
I think
Haven't heard it yet. I don't know.
I will make that motion that we, upon approval of this special use permit, that the stand closes at midnight.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion by Patke, second by Hopmar. Further discussion? Do we need to accept this in the minutes first?
Are you okay with that, Mark?
You need to, yeah, you need to accept the hearing into the minutes.
Right.
Okay.
Move to accept the hearing into the minutes.
Second.
There you go.
Motion by Wessel, second by Idrich. Why don't we pass this, just to get into the minutes? Is that okay?
That's all you have to do is get in the minutes, and then the next one is where you can amend the ordinance.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, on Mark's motion, Mark's second, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. It's in the minutes.
An ordinance granting a special use permit for a roadside stand at 601.
Has everybody, okay, so that gets us in, I'm a little bit.
That's
so
that's
the first reading.
That's just the public. That's just
Okay.
to get the minutes in for the
Sorry.
public hearing.
Okay.
Now we're going into the ordinance.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
West Fifth Street in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
So now,
Now I need somebody to introduce.
Somebody needs to introduce it.
oh, okay.
I'll introduce it. Whatever. Whatever, Joe. We're just
Okay.
gonna change it. I'm not totally against it. We're just gonna.
Okay, introduced by Hopmar then. Okay,
Now my motion to move to accept as read with the addition of close at midnight.
and second by Hopmar. Further discussion?
What do we do about if it becomes a nuisance down the road?
Well, we come back. We can come back and revoke.
Yes,
We can.
yes.
Okay.
Based on
Yeah, that's, I
what
would,
are conditions?
Well,
I mean-
you adopted a code, I was trying to find it here in the code book, and it's not in there yet, but you adopted a revision to your code back in June, and you set various reasons why you could either suspend or revoke the special use permit. One of them is violating any ordinance of the city. So if they're violating the nuisance ordinances or they're disturbing the peace, that's sufficient grounds.
covered.
You could come back and suspend or revoke their permit, yeah.
Okay.
We have to vote on the amendment first.
I think as long, there's a motion, I think, on the floor.
There
with the-
is.
With the amendment and a second. Yeah. So that's already there.
Is it roll call vote or?
Yeah.
Sherry, you look confused.
The ordinance doesn't have a time.
No.
They're making a motion to add it.
Are we making a motion to
They made
add?
a motion and second to
Correct.
add it.
Okay,
So you need to vote on that motion first,
Yes.
okay.
The amendment.
and come back.
But didn't we just vote that in? Didn't we just approve that in the acceptance of the minutes? Didn't we just do that?
Gotta do it now.
No.
We're doing it now.
We discussed it then, but we didn't do it.
Okay, so we vote on a midnight
On the motion.
motion from
Midnight
Jeff.
motion.
Midnight motion. Further discussion
So
before we
let's be
vote on it.
specific then. Let's
ahead,
talk
Al.
about, on one of these sections, we need to add that, right?
Correct.
Special use be issued under section 1, and then section 2 kind of covers the, yeah.
That could be the time.
Under section 1, I think we just added a sentence behind that, right? That a special use permit be issued for 601 West Fifth Street for a roadside stand to operate between X and Y. Does that work?
Yes,
So now we know what we're voting on.
yes,
Are we doing 5 PM to midnight?
yes.
I was just gonna say, that was the X and Y, is 5 to midnight.
Okay, so since we have that, can I get a motion to approve that?
I make a motion.
Did.
Did,
I motion and second.
Okay.
We need to vote.
Yes.
you need to vote on that motion,
Am I doing roll call for that?
not necessarily.
Okay.
Let's go. All those in favor with Jeff's motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Now the second reading on the ordinance that has that amendment in it.
Okay. So just to clarify, was it Briggs or was it Patke that made the motion?
Patke, second by Holtmeyer.
Thank you. All right, now I'm reading the ordinance, correct?
Correct.
An ordinance granting a special use permit for a roadside stand at 601 West Fifth Street in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Reed?
Yes. By your vote, 3D passes.
Citizens' comments?
Would anyone in the audience like to make a comment? Thank you.
Ordinances and resolutions. An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a priority dispatch system implementation agreement by and between the city of Washington, Missouri and Medical Priority Consultants, Inc., doing business as Priority Dispatch Corp.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Good evening, Council. This is for the licensing, training, implementation of the priority dispatch for emergency medical dispatching. It is a part of the agreement between Washington Communications and Washington Ambulance that we moved to this, and it was budgeted for the 23-24 budget year.
Jennifer, is this set up to train your dispatchers?
Yes, currently we use a physical card set when someone calls 911, and we would go through the card set physically and provide pre-arrival instructions and questioning. This will be a digital version, what we call ProQA. They'll also set up a quality assurance program and train us on how to do the quality assurance for this. It's just a more effective and comprehensive way to provide medical dispatch.
Does the Washington Ambulance District pay for any of this training?
This will be paid for out of the communications budget. It was part of their agreement with their fees for dispatching. The first 2 years were more to cover this, to get it paid for in the first 2 years of the contract, and then after that it was
After that, I think it's 18,000 a year or something like that.
just under 18,000.
It's great. I hope
And then they'll pay for the licensing from years 2 through 5.
sooner the better.
Yep.
That's what I say.
Further discussion or questions? Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance authorizing and directing the execution of a priority dispatch system implementation agreement by and between the city of Washington, Missouri and Medical Priority Consultants, Inc., doing business as Priority Dispatch Corp. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Patke?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Reed?
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 7A passes. B, please.
An ordinance ordering and directing issuance of refunds for landfill fees.
Coulter. Introduced by Coulter.
Good evening, council. So this was the discussion we had at the last meeting about issuing refunds for the landfill when the scale was down for a couple weeks in August. I just want to make it clear that city staff did not overcharge anyone during this time. They followed the ordinance the way it was written, but since the scale was down for an unusually long amount of time, we felt that the ordinance was maybe charging people a little more than what they previously were charged. So we went back, looked at the history of people's tickets, at least 3 tickets, took the average, and then kind of based the refund off of that. So that's what we're.
Have these people been contacted yet that they're getting a refund, or is
No,
this-
we have not contacted. It's
That'll
quite a big
happen.
list, but
Hopefully we approve this and
Yeah.
that'll happen.
right.
Johnny, I was surprised, I guess, by the total refunds that you're talking about, the 33,000 I saw there. And am I surprised? So, and that was a typical 10, 11, 12 days, whatever that was at the time? Was that, how
Yeah,
long?
right.
So that's pretty typical for, I'm just surprised that there's that kind of revenue coming in.
coming in.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
questions, guys? Business is good. Okay. Go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance ordering and directing issuance of refunds for landfill fees. Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Wessels.
Aye.
Reed.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 7B passes. Thank you, guys. 7C.
An ordinance amending section 220.015, use of municipal landfill of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Holtmeyer.
So to follow that up, then we have an ordinance, to amend the ordinance for the fees when the scale's down. Basically cutting the, all other vehicles other than automobiles, vans, and pickups in half, which was about the average refund that we saw, so.
Comments? Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance amending section 220.015, use of municipal landfill of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Hydrich.
Aye.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Wessels.
Aye.
Reed.
Yes.
By your vote, 7C passes. D, please.
An ordinance repealing section 705.120 and 705.410 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, and enacting lieu thereof a new section 705.120 and a new section 705.410.
Patke.
Introduced by Patke.
Hello, council. This is the ordinance for the discussion we had at the special meeting about raising the rates and the connection fees for sewer. Got any questions?
These new rates would take effect January 1st.
The new connection fees will take effect January 1st. The rates took effect October 1st of '23, with a CPI escalator every year after that. So,
Okay. Hearing nothing, go ahead, Sherry.
An ordinance repealing sections 705.120 and 705.410 of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri, and enacting lieu thereof a new section 705.120 and a new section 705.410. Hydrich.
Nay.
Holtmeyer.
Aye.
Bear.
Yes.
Patke.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Coulter.
Yes.
Wessels.
Aye.
Reed.
Yes.
By your vote, ordinance 7D passes. 7E, please.
An ordinance amending Schedule 4, no parking at any time of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Holtmeyer.
This is no parking down there off High Street, the new streets Walter Way, Sophia and Greta. So it's going to be no parking on Walter Way. It's only a 30-foot wide street, so it'll have no parking on the south side. We allowed them to put in a smaller cul-de-sac at Greta Court since it's less than 150 feet. So the fire department can still go in and back out, but to allow for, large, like delivery trucks to turn around. We went with a smaller cul-de-sac, but don't want any parking there. That was part of the condition there. And then on Walter Way, we allowed for an island in the middle, essentially, cut out, so to allow for the fire department to make that turn. There's no parking in that cul-de-sac turnaround as well.
Chief, is this a problem that we have no parking now in new cul-de-sacs and new streets? I mean, the residents are going to be the ones that are going to be parking there.
Sure. Go ahead, Sal.
Well, I can say also that there's a section in our subdivision code that if you decide as developer to build a 30-foot wide street, so you can get a little money off, you have to sacrifice parking on one side. So the code now has to reflect what the developer built.
Okay.
It's more result of the width of the street.
Correct, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it still goes back to the fact that enforcement is going to be, it's going to fall on the police department as we have streets that can't handle parking, so.
And I mean, if you guys don't approve this, I don't know what we do, I guess. But especially with the island with Walter Way, we haven't accepted that yet, so they could fill that in, and then there could be parking on the cul-de-sac.
Well, again, and I know on Greta Court, I know it's like I said, it's just a very short cul-de-sac. You're only going to have 3 houses on there, or maybe it's 4. So it's really, I mean, I understand the principle of that and why the street's smaller, I get all that. I just don't want to set a precedence that we're going to put 30-foot streets in from now on. But in these certain circumstances, I get it, so.
Right now, the code reads that if you have less than 10 residential units, and the street is less than 770 feet long, whatever a cul-de-sac is, then you are allowed to have a 30-foot road with parking on one side.
Okay.
So anything more than 10 homes, basically, you have to have
Full
dual
street,
parking. Yep.
35 feet.
Okay.
More discussion? Go ahead.
An ordinance amending Schedule 4, no parking any time of the Code of the City of Washington, Missouri. Heidrich?
Aye.
Holtmeyer?
Aye.
Bear?
Yes.
Packey?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Coulter?
Yes.
Wessels?
Aye.
Reed?
Yes.
Ordinance 7E passes. 7F, please.
An ordinance prohibiting field dressing or processing deer in public.
Heidrich.
Introduced by Heidrich.
I got a quick question, Mr. Piontek. So if it does not just state hanging, I mean, if it's already field dressed, is that something that needs to be added to this? Even just hanging, you know, if somebody leaves one hanging for 2 or 3 days in a tree, it's already field dressed?
This does not cover that, no. And honestly, I looked at what a number of municipalities in St. Louis County have done, and what you have is essentially what they've done. There wasn't anybody who had a prohibition on hanging a deer outside. It's not to say you can't put it in there if you want, but this does not address.
Because that's what a few of these residents were basically complaining about, that it hung out there for a couple days in the front yard.
Can't imagine it'd be good for very long.
This was last year.
Depending on the temperature.
If it's 30 degrees out, you're fine, you know?
Well, as it's written, I mean, anybody that kills a deer is gonna field dress it in the field. They're not gonna bring it home.
Right.
To field dress it.
I would hope not.
So my main concern is I'd like to see verbiage in here about hanging of a deer.
Do we really think, I mean, I haven't had a single call, I've never seen one hanging. I just think this is like out of the blue oddity to me personally. But this is an issue in town, but maybe I'm the only guy that hasn't had calls, I don't know.
I have not.
Well,
I don't.
there's a first for everything, and this is the first time I've ever in 14 years gotten a call on something as well. But, you know, our residents brought it forward, and I wanted to bring it forward. I think it's something that needs to be addressed. You know, some people, you know, Washington's not the same Washington as it used to be, and there's a lot of people from out of different areas moving in and take offense of seeing a deer hang from a tree.
What I was concerned about is, it just says deer. What if they hung something else from the tree?
Yeah.
Some other animal? I mean, we'd have to have an ordinance for every possible.
Well, that,
I don't know.
that and the
I
fact
have
that
no problem with this. I mean.
the Halloween decorations out there are more gory than the deer, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. I don't have a problem with this at all. I mean, if a guy wants to kill a deer in public land, you know, in Weldon Springs or whatever, and he field dresses there and he brings it home and he hangs it up, I don't think most people hang it in their front yard. But, you know, there's been deer hanging in my garage, and I've skinned them in my driveway before. And, you know, I promise you, there's lots and lots of people that do that, because you don't, you know, you're not gonna leave your deer hang in the woods. Not everybody's got a walk-in cooler, so people do that. You know, if the weather allows that, you let it hang a day or 2 or 3, whatever, it doesn't matter, and then you skin it out and debone it, and life goes on. I don't see a problem at all.
A garage is something different than a front yard.
No, but I've had it in my garage, but I brought it out to, you know, work on it. You gotta keep the animals away from it,
Varmints.
yeah. I see no need for it.
And
Other comments?
you may want to try to if you're saying the wording is not what you were after anyway, you may want to try to come up with some other kind of word, I don't know.
I read over this and then I didn't see anything about actually hanging of the animal, you know. Just hanging, so.
Okay. Any other discussion? Go ahead, Sherry.
Do we want to add verbiage in there? Just leave it? Okay. I'm sorry?
Second reading.
Okay. An ordinance prohibiting field dressing or processing deer in public. Hydrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Nay.
Bear,
No.
Patke,
No.
Briggs,
No.
Coulter,
No.
Wessels,
No.
Reed. No. It failed.
By your vote, it fails. So, number 8.
Commission, committee, and board reports. Preliminary plat approval, Rose Terrace subdivision, Plat 2.
All right, this should be a minor subdivision. We received an application for a property on East Fifth Street, I think
2303.
2303, thank you. I think commonly it kept being called the Stone House when we were talking about it at P&Z. But they're requesting to subdivide it into 2 lots. As you can see here, that entire area of town is R1A, single-family residential, which is a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. That's about what you have here on the other side of the street. And you can see here what they're requesting, a lot 11A, 1.18 acres, a lot 11B, 1.73. So well above the minimum. They have all the appropriate easements. And then you can see here, they're well off from the lot line they're creating to not have a setback issue with the existing home. So went to planning and zoning last week, unanimously passed, and then tonight there was also an ordinance for the final plat because there are no public improvements required, meaning they can go straight from preliminary to final plat.
Sal, was there any idea as to what they had in mind for that, or no?
And I know the house is for sale, so maybe they're looking to sell 2 lots.
That's about as simple as it gets.
Just a minor point here, the P&Z memo from Planning Engineering Department staff, it says to the north is railroad property. It's really an easement, but it's usually how those properties are described, as they end at the railroad easement. Don't want to give anything to UP, but.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. Further questions or discussions? Go ahead.
I need a motion to approve.
Yeah,
I'll
I
make
need
a motion.
Yes. Who made it? Motion by Coulter, second by Patke to accept. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, it's accepted. Go ahead.
An ordinance approving the final plat of Rose Terrace subdivision, Plat 2, in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri.
Holtmeyer.
Introduced by Holtmeyer. Any more? Go ahead.
An ordinance approving the final plat of Rose Terrace subdivision, Plat 2, in the city of Washington, Franklin County, Missouri. Hydrich,
Aye.
Holtmeyer,
Aye.
Bear,
Yes.
Patke,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Coulter,
Yes.
Wessels,
Aye.
Reed.
Yes.
Ordinance 8B passes.
Mayor's report.
Al, congratulations for getting your Missouri Municipal League certification.
Thank you.
I think you're the only one of us that has it so far.
No. I have one.
Sorry. He's,
I was the first one.
That was not intentional.
whoa.
Years ahead of me.
That was not intentional.
He is the
Sorry.
first councilman, actually, to get it, though. So,
Watch out, 'cause she can't.
I'm the first city staff member.
You're certified public.
I'm MGI.
Guys, let me comment a little bit about this landfill refund. It passed. There wasn't much discussion, but I think it shows a lot for us as a city that when we screw up, we admit our mistake, make retribution, and then we correct a situation that may happen in the future. And we've done all that. So I don't want to say good honest, but good on us.
Especially when I saw how much money was involved.
I know,
That's
I
a
know.
big step.
I don't think all cities would do that.
Well, I think kudos to Charles and the staff too for all the
Amen.
work that they did. I'm sure that wasn't easy.
That's all I have. Thank you.
City Administrator's report.
No report.
Council comments.
I'd like to say thanks. Spent a little time with Mary over the last couple of weeks just looking at capital improvement, sales tax, and where we're at with that. And I think we're going to have to reconvene either the original committee from way before my time or put together a new committee. We got to look at what's been completed, what we still want to complete. We're going to be coming up on the sunset of that thing. So lots of stuff on the table there yet to try to complete and or at least get started in the next couple of years. So how we go about that, I don't know if that's a...
Typically, yeah, I can comment on that. Typically, what's been done in the past for successful passage was there was a committee formed. Usually the mayor puts together a committee, and at that, they go ahead and review projects that not only staff bring forward, but also that we open it up to the general public if there's a outcry for a certain facility, et cetera. I mean, we had a lot of...
Survey last time.
Yeah, and we had a survey last time. That was also, I think, we knew that we were going to be having to go ahead and redo the pool essentially or whatever, but we had a survey completed as well, like Sal said, of all the projects that we had. Like I said, and there was a way to track it so that somebody couldn't just stack the numbers and keep hitting enter. But anyway, yeah, and that's usually a year prior to the tax, so it's like that would begin in 2025, and the tax would go back onto the ballot, providing that the council at that time chooses to. In all years past, they have, but then that would be on the ballot in April of 2026. I have discussed it with the mayor to go ahead and consider taking a look if we wanted to, the projects that we have completed, the ones that are still out there that remain. I'll tell you the biggest one that you've got remaining is the fire station. And as we work towards getting that, and then you still have some improvements within your park system with some of the facilities. So those are the main ones that we have left. But you also have some stuff, I mean, I guess, that the chamber has requested, and I know that there's been some discussions recently about the main stage roof. If you'll remember, for those of you that remember, we had bids that went out for that project. Unfortunately, the bids that came in were when steel was very high as far as the bids, and they were double what we were figuring what the cost would be. So without another funding source, and I know that there was options tried for that, et cetera, but those funds are still within the capital improvement sales tax. But you also are going to have to deal with two more projects that Wayne and I have discussed. There's the lighting for the motorsports arena. Those lights those are out of date. They still function, but I think it's hard to go ahead and get replacement parts, from what I understand, to go ahead and do that, as well as put in a new restroom facility on that end of the fairgrounds and tear down the old one that's there right next to the gate. We do not have probably enough funds, but we've been looking at these projects as they come in. For example, the roof that you voted on at the last meeting, that came in lower than what we anticipated. We also looked at possibly redoing the HVAC when that bid came in originally, when the sales tax convened. The issue is, what do you want to do with that building? And that's maybe a future discussion for a future sales tax committee and a future council. But it's hard to go ahead and replace that HVAC system unless you know what the end use is going to be.
Well, and I think what I'm driving at is, we've got a lot of data, and maybe Mark on the finance committee, you've seen, there's a lot of moving parts to something that takes place over 8 years. And
yes,
I think the other thing is...
The last 2 or 3 years, obviously, the cost is just...
But the comprehensive plan we've been working on, last time we used that information, to go to people. But also, I think I can remember that committee working, and one of the real powerful points we had, kind of what Darren was just alluding to, was we said, last time you voted for this, here's what you asked for, and here's what we delivered on. And that went a long way. you know, because they said, okay, they did it last time, so this time. So we got good results on that last election, I know. And, but I think that comprehensive plan that we've been working, I mean, you know, that, you put that to use in there too. So.
I will say it passed by its highest margin in 2018 than it ever did the previous times it went to the voters. And then secondly, the other thing I think that's really, what you did tonight by passing the ordinance with regards to your sewer rates and your sewer connection fees are due to the fact of trying to keep those enterprise funds truly enterprise funds, so that they're not subject, they're not asking for funds then within that capital improvement sales tax the next time it comes around. That has always been, Kevin, and like I said, until rates got to the point where they could sustain themselves and actually build up a reserve and take care of, you know, like I said, for future needs, slip lining, for example, of, you know, some of that's the ongoing maintenance that they have. That's where you're trying to get that sewer fund to go ahead and pay for those improvements themselves, and then you don't have to go to the voters and rely upon that every 8 years for a new water tower or a new slip lining, and they can truly go back into, I think a question that you're going to have at that time when you have that discussion is going to be, how much do you want for parks improvements? Because that's typically what you've done in the past. And then also, how much do you want for emergency response? I mean, those are the two main ones that you're now going to be the end users of that, so to speak. We use the radios. We used a couple of other things for the fire department. Obviously, we said we're still building a fire station. Those are some important discussions I think that we're going to have. And if we want to go ahead and continue that half-cent tax, and at least now, hopefully these other funds take care of themselves and you can focus on those.
To Councilman Bear's point is that the previous committee, as it was formed back in 2017 to discuss these things, I think it's advantageous to get them back together to know what we have completed, what we're close on, you know, what needs to be next. Is there one of those projects that can be pushed to the next, because the public, I'm sure, does understand that inflation has caused us to not be able to do some of those projects. And then, you know, what more people than just us sitting here agree what needs to be done or what we promised we would do. So I think that's the next step, is to reconvene those. And then from that point, ask the mayor to form that committee from those members who are willing to do it again, or others to look forward to the, you know, the next passing of a tax. So, but yeah, to Councilman Bear's point, Mary Sprung has done a lot in digging up the numbers and what we had left over. And she did a great
Finding
job.
the old flyers from the very first one. I mean, there's a lot of information.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
We've got a lot of...
Go back through, but yeah.
If she can explain to me how those numbers work, then she did a great job. So I'll give her credit for that. So, but no, it's very important to know and to share, to be transparent in that and what we've done for the last 8 years, the projects we have, where we at on tax, and going forward for the next 8. So, thanks.
Let me just say, you guys, we need to do everything we can to get that passed again.
Yes, no doubt. It's very.
Yep.
On a note that I wasn't here at the last meeting for the sewer thing, are we still doing a campaign for no wet wipes in
Yes.
in like our bills that's sent out, or in our monthly newsletter and all
We
that?
can certainly go ahead and do that again. Kevin just got back here. Joe just asked about the... That's okay.
It's about wet wipes. So you're back.
Wet wipes.
Didn't use any, did you?
Good timing.
Yeah, did you, are we doing a campaign against that in our waste bills and stuff like that, against the wet wipes?
I don't think we have anything proposed, but we certainly can.
We have
I mean, just,
Yes, we have.
I mean, something brought back up, if it sets a major problem of what I've read from, I wasn't here at the last meeting, but it seemed like.
Yeah, wet wipes are an ongoing problem. They'll continue to be an ongoing problem. We can dump tons of time and money into putting it out there that people need to stop doing it. But as long as the manufacturers are allowed to put on their packaging that it is flushable, they will continue to flush them. But yeah, we can, that was my point behind some of the video and some of the pictures I had, was to try and show that. I could put them in the flyer every month and let people see it.
Or put that.
It's gonna work for a little bit, and the next thing you know, there'll be, I mean, it's,
Facebook.
we could put it anywhere we want. I mean, this is something that the industry has been fighting for years. There's actually been litigation and everything else on this to trying to get this to stop, but as long as all they put on there is that they're flushable, there's nothing we can do about it, we just have to fight it, so.
Wouldn't hurt to put some.
No, it is. It's just, I guess the point is, how aggressive do you want to be on the point? I think we ought to maybe throw a few of them pictures I put on for the PowerPoint in there and let people actually see what is happening. So, it's something we always talk about. It's just a matter of getting the time to get it together, but it is something we need to do, so.
Thanks, sorry, Mr.
Something else you might want to put in there is the schedules of the trash pickup and stuff. People still can't get their recycling days. You know what I mean? I don't know what the deal is, but they sure don't know when to put their recycle cans out.
Every time it changes from the date where it normally should be put out,
Yeah.
we do something on social media and let them know that it is, and due to the holiday, everything will be pushed back
I
a
know.
week. So,
I don't think they're tuning in.
yeah.
And it's in the current has it for the whole quarter, a schedule of every trash and recycle pickup.
When does that go out? Once a year though, right?
No, 4 times a year in
Oh,
your
4
water bill.
times a
Yep.
year.
And then we also put it on the website and Facebook.
So my question is to everybody, so nobody's in favor if we change the verbiage of this ordinance that we tried to, that I put on the agenda for tonight? Consensus?
It'd still be a no for me.
So if there's somebody's hanging a deer from their front yard, that's okay? It's all right?
Honestly, if I'd have ever seen it,
I mean, your front yard's a little shorter than some people's, but yeah, I mean, I've seen it.
I have not seen it.
But, you know, it didn't offend me like it has, you know, a few of these people. But, so even if the verbiage is changed as far as hanging or this or that negative, yeah, because we don't need to waste any money, so.
I have one other comment on as far as the comprehensive plan goes. Is that going to come before us at the next month, right?
It's supposed to. So the plan right now is to have in November, well, actually get the draft. I was hoping to have it about 2 weeks ago. I still haven't gotten it from our consultant. But have the draft circulated with our department heads to look at their individual goals and our steering committee and have some comments. Have the first public hearing on it at the November Planning and Zoning. And then in the second meeting in November, have a report of department heads. I don't know if it needs to be a public hearing, but a discussion at council on it, so you guys can make any comments as well. And then it goes back in December to P&Z. And P&Z actually has the final approval.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
as of right
just
now-
for the new council members or people that haven't been through our comprehensive planning process, just make sure, this is the only time that Planning and Zoning Commission adopts this. We usually get a resolution of support from the council, but that's when the Planning and Zoning Commission actually adopts your comprehensive plan.
And then that is recorded with the state.
So we'll have time to,
Absolutely. I mean,
We got
if
more
we
time.
have to push it
okay.
till, like, January of '24, it's not the end of the world. It's just, it's a 23 to 33 plan, so I was really hoping to get that out in '23. But if we have to push it a month, we have to push it a month. You know, I don't wanna go, you know, speed people along with, to review it, so.
okay, thank you.
Anything else, guys?
Just need a motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Wessel, second by Holtmeyer to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're done.
Yep.
Hey.
Got a record.